Sometimes it's a good idea to go back on recipes that I've done in the past, revisit them and make them even better. That's exactly what we're doing with this Marry Me chicken. And I'm pretty sure that the name comes from the flavors marrying together, and it goes pretty well with the channel because I always say let the flavors become friends. Now the prep for this is super simple. All of the ingredients are laid out in front of me here. We're going to need 2 brown or yellow onions, one if it's a large one. Take off the tip, leave the root intact, then slice it in half, peel it, then make thin slices across and dice this into small to medium sized pieces. Make sure you trim off any excess flesh from around the root, and all of the scraps can be saved for a stock. Along with that, we also need 6 cloves of garlic. I'm slicing these nice and thin this time. You can also grate them and chop them, but for this type of recipe, I prefer the slices. That way we can add more garlic without it being too overpowering. Right here is 3 grams of thyme and 3 grams of oregano. Both are fresh and you can use dried. I'll leave details about that in the description. With these, I'm just going to scrunch them together and roughly chop, making sure there's no large leaves or stems. With your thyme, sometimes the stems can be really woody. If that is the case, you will need to pick the leaves off, but this one is quite soft, so I'm just going to chop it all up. Last but not least, we need 3 large chicken breasts. These weigh roughly 300 grams each. All I'm doing with these is making that horizontal slice through the center to butterfly them and open them up, then slice straight through the center to create 2 even-sized fillets. If they are a little bit inconsistent in size, maybe one's a little bit bigger than the other, you can use a meat mallet or the bottom of a pan to bang these down, but just make sure they are all the same size. One last thing is some sun-dried tomatoes. Now, the ones I'm using have already come in strips, so I'm not going to bother slicing them. If yours are whole, I do recommend slicing them into thin, even-sized strips. These are beautiful, by the way. You don't have to use them if you don't like them, but they make this dish so much better. With our chicken, place that into a mixing bowl. Add in 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, about a tablespoon of olive oil, nice big pinch of salt, as well as some cracked black pepper. 15 cracks worth. Let's then get in there with clean hands and just mix everything together. Make sure all of that spices are mixed through the chicken. Make sure nothing's clumped up as well. It can easily clump up, and should have something that looks like this. Just quickly, I'm getting a lot of people ask about signed copies of the book. I wasn't able to do it in the past, but right now we can do a giveaway for 5 signed copies. If you've already placed an order or even received your book, don't worry, you're automatically put into the draw. And anyone that places an order over the next 10 days will also go into the draw. As stock arrives, your book will be sent out as soon as possible. The orders are available now. I know overseas it still says pre-order. We're just waiting for stock to arrive in those warehouses. And I know Australia and New Zealand have started to receive their books, sending it through. I love to see it. And when yours does arrive, please do send it through as well. It's amazing to see. Really do appreciate all of you that have bought a book. It means the world to me. It's the greatest way to support me. Thank you very much.
Now to get this cooking, place a large pan over a medium-high heat. Get this nice and hot, then add in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Add in the seasoned chicken, spread it around to spread that fat all over the bottom of the pan, and we're going to sear these for about 3 to 3.5 minutes on each side, getting that golden crust all over. And once you have that achieved, we can remove them from the pan and place them into a bowl or on a plate. And I recommend turning the pan down slightly here just so nothing burns that's left behind from the chicken. Once the chicken's been removed, add in 1 tablespoon of sun-dried tomato oil. This is the oil that the sun-dried tomatoes come in. 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, as well as the diced onion. Season to taste with salt, and then with this over a medium heat, just start mixing it around, allow that butter to melt, and once the butter is melted, increase the heat to medium-high, and saute this for about 5 to 6 minutes until those onions are really soft and translucent and have picked up all of that flavor left behind from the chicken. Next to go in is the sliced, grated or chopped garlic. Mix this all through and continue cooking for 1 minute until it's nice and fragrant, and I do recommend mixing it around regularly, that way it won't burn. Deglaze the pan with half a cup of white wine. Don't worry if you can't consume alcohol, pretty much any liquid deglazes a pan, so you can substitute this with stock. Allow it to come to a boil, and we're going to cook this for about 2 minutes or until it's reduced by 2/3, and you should have something that looks like this. Now to increase the depth of flavour in this dish, add in 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and mix it around well until completely combined. We're only going to cook this for about 30 seconds. Add in 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. Don't worry if you replace the wine with stock, adding it again is completely fine. 300 milliliters of thickened cream, also known as whipping cream or heavy cream. 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes drained of the oil. I'm adding in a little pinch of chili flakes, which is completely optional. And then season to taste with salt and cracked black pepper. Once all of that's in, mix it around really well. Make sure everything's broken up, especially those sun-dried tomatoes. They can clump. Allow all of those flavors to become friends, and we're going to bring this up to a simmer. Once it is at a simmer, add in all of the chopped herbs that we used, or dried herbs, with all of the details about that in the description. Mix it around again, and with it at a simmer, reduce the heat to low and cook this for about 6 to 7 minutes, or until you have something that looks like this. This is optional, but add in 20 grams of grated Parmesan cheese or Pecorino Romano, as well as about a cup of basil leaves. This adds beautiful fragrance to the dish. Mix that all through, cook this for about 30 seconds, only to get that infusion of the herbs into the sauce. Then we can add the chicken back in. Make sure you spread it out. Make sure there's enough sauce in there as well. If your sauce has thickened too much, you can add a little bit more stock. Don't forget about adding in the resting juices of the chicken as well. It's all extra flavor. Then start mixing this around. Flip the chicken a couple of times to get it nice and saucy. And cook this for about 1 minute just to get that heat back through the chicken. Once that's all done though, we can remove this from the stovetop. And I'm serving this with mash, but you can do it with pasta, rice, a salad, or even veggies. The choice is all yours. For the purpose of this video, I'm also using 3 fillets of chicken. I do only recommend 2 per serving, and this dish will serve 3 people. Top it off with any remaining sauce, a little bit more Parmesan or Pecorino Romano, as well as some fresh basil leaves for that garnish. I've also been growing these in the background, so I thought I'd better use them. And don't forget the cracked black pepper. Leaving us with this Marry Me chicken. It is beautiful, it smells incredible, and you're going to love it, I can guarantee it.
With everything said and done, there's only one thing left to do, and that is, of course, we can then dig in. The flavor in there is absolutely delicious. It's rich, but it's not overcomplicated. The cheese in the sauce really stands out. The sun-dried tomatoes add depth. And you got that nice floral aroma from the herbs. Really well balanced dish. It is absolutely delicious, and I highly recommend you try it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing, it's free, so why not? And leave a comment for the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.